In 1995, Pixel Ripped is back. Face the mighty power of 16-bit enemies. The struggles of a 9-year-old boy.
David.
And the ruthless battle of console fanboys.
Turbo Drive is better. That's it. Real gamers need power. Power system is for squares. Cool kids go turbo. Power system. Turbo Drive. Power system. Turbo Drive. Power system. Turbo Drive.
Hey, George! Join Dot and help her save the multiverse from the evil Cyberman Lord. Pixel Ripped 1995.
That's it. I'm sorry, but I need to protect you from your bad choices.
Get ready.
Don't worry, baby. Mommy's coming for you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 54. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Ruuts. Ruuts, how have you been doing, brother?
Good, except for the gremlins in the computer that are trying to sabotage my life. But no, I'm doing good. Actually, I was just telling you earlier that I just got out. Well, it's been a few hours now, but out of some amazing racing with pretty much everybody. VR Spry Guy, Mamefan, Radio Runt, Scion, VR Spry Guy's brother. And we had a whole slew of people in Grip, and that game is freaking amazing. And I'm just going to go to my grave saying that. It's so good.
Man, what a great surprise to start the month off, right? I mean, we're coming off of March, this freaking killer month for VR games. Looking ahead to the next month, as we always do, as usual, not much confirmed, but then just out of nowhere, this flat game that I'd never even heard of before decides to add in VR support. And, I haven't played it yet, but from what people are saying about it, this might be one of the top VR games out there right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. And for being a port over, it's the best racing game I've played in VR. And we are debating between the 5 or 6 of us whether it's better than Wipeout. And we're going to leave that up to you, as we know you're the Wipeout aficionado. If I could get Anthony in there, that'd be the only other person I'd say would have as equally a good opinion on it, but I don't think he'll ever get in that thing because it's a spinning mess. And if Anthony went in there, he'd be that guy puking in the commercial. That's what I think anyway. So,
well, I'm going to have to put some hours and hours in to answer that question, because I've got the time in Wipeout, and that's an amazing game. But honestly, from what I'm seeing, Grip absolutely looks like it could be on par with Wipeout. And what about the timing? We put 6 weeks into doing that Monday show episode where we compared all these arcade style combat racers, and we put all that time into that episode. And then immediately the next week, Radio G Proteus gets an update. The week after that, Mini Motor Racing X gets an update. And then we get Hyperwheel Overdrive that releases. And now we've got Grip that releases. So as long as it took us to put that episode together, I kind of feel like we did it a month too early.
Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of feels that way because we've had so many things change and a couple new games come out. And like I said, this game to me, I've never had more fun trash talking each other and blasting Radio Runt and Justin off of 2 sides of the thing right before the finish line. Sion, I'll tell you how awesome that was. It was just it was a good time, and it's just such a good game that I definitely would like to go in there and talk about it, especially alongside of we still need to get into Hyperwheel Overdrive. So I think that would be a good Monday show, I think.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think since, even if that episode that we put together was a month too early, that's the good thing about, being on this channel, we can always just go back to the well, right, and do it again with an addendum. And I think that's a good idea for tomorrow's Monday show. Is maybe we get in there tonight, check a couple of these new titles out, and come back and talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, outside of racing, what a month April in general is shaping up to be. You know, I had some trepidation last week. You know, we did the game of the month for March in the April preview like we always do. But due to our birthday and having Anthony on as a guest, it got pushed way up into April. And I felt a little weird doing the April preview, you know, halfway through April. And, you know, as time's going on, it's proving that that I actually had nothing to fear whatsoever, because as always is the case, games are being announced, games are being released, and there is still tons of new stuff to come. You know, as strong as the first half of April has been, I kind of feel like the second half might be even stronger.
I know. That's what's so weird is like when we both talked about it, we're like, oh man, we need to do this April preview, but we're already a week and a half into it, or almost 2 weeks, I guess it was. And it didn't really matter because so many new things are dropping anyway that wouldn't have been in there if we'd done it on day one. We're still going to be trying to catch up. So it just shows us it really doesn't matter. And let's go with the flow.
Yeah, not just anything being announced either. Good titles. And, you know, we always say it, you know, when it comes to new VR games, I don't need a new concept necessarily. I don't need you to reinvent the wheel. Just give me some damn sequels, bro. There was so many awesome titles in the Gen 1 collection of VR games that all they really need to do is give us some new levels, give us some progression on the games that we already love, and that would be enough in itself. And we knew that it was coming, but we didn't know quite when. And I feel that we're finally starting to see the tip of the iceberg here, because just this past week, we finally got a release date for Pixel Ripped 1995. We knew this game has been in development. I think it was E3 that they first announced that last year. Is that right?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's been a long time. You know, and what was funny is somebody in the Discord said, I can't remember what upload or one of the things was talking about this, and they showed talked about it, but they showed the 1989 picture, and they're like, why would they not use 1995? And my first instinct is because it's not out there. And that's because it was not out there for so long. Like being the person pulling trailers, and it was like, what do I do? We're talking about 1995 again, and there's no trailer, there's no picture. But there is now, obviously. But yeah, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, I had a feeling this one was coming, Roots. You know, I follow the creator of Pixel Ripped, Anna Ribeiro, on Twitter. And she was having a completely unrelated conversation about something else on there the other day. But I noticed that she mentioned that Pixel Rip 1995 was late in the QA process. And generally what that means is a release is right around the corner. Now, little did I know how close it actually was. But it wasn't maybe 2 or 3 days later, someone on Reddit had noticed that Pixel Rip 1995 had gone missing from the coming soon section of the Oculus store. So it all kind of added up to an imminent release or a delay due to the pandemic. And thankfully, it was the latter, or the former, rather. We're getting this game on April 23rd. So this Thursday, Roots, we're going to be able to play this game on Steam, on Oculus Rift, and Oculus Quest. Now, PSVR, as is the case with many of the games, the PlayStation games right now, it's tied up in the QA process. They expect that it will see release next month in May. But man, I'm excited for this one. How about you?
Yeah, it looks really good. And I was bit, the games that were in this genre, this time period, I enjoyed better. I enjoyed the consoles. It was just more fleshed out and the graphics. So I'm kind of psyched to see what kind of gameplay we've got in this. And then, of course, the story. The first one was so good. I'm psyched to check this one out.
Yeah, they're literally. I mean, the first one was such a nostalgia trip, taking me back to my very youngest days as a video gamer. But this one's going to take us back to the golden age roots, when we were young teenagers, and video games went from something that was for small children to the beginnings of the phenomenon that's continuing to grow even until this day. Video games, in many ways, are probably at this point, the single largest, most popular form of entertainment in the world.
Yeah. Especially with everything going on now. It's all everybody's doing, right? It's playing some video games. So, especially this one.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, so this, again, releasing on PCVR and Quest April 23rd. This is on Thursday. $19.99 US dollars, 19.99 euros, cross-buy supported, Roots. So if there was any doubt that these developers are cool as shit, there's proof positive right there. Cross-buy enabled.
Yeah, well, and it's smart too. It's like, there's no reason not to buy this game, and it's at a price point that I guarantee is going to be well worth the price of admission for $20. That's the sweet spot for a mediocre game, and this is a really good game. So, or at least the first one was.
You know what would be cool? These days to play with a friend means co-op or versus, and we can join up online and play any number of games together. It would be cool if there was a multiplayer function in Pixel Ripped, but instead of being like today's multiplayer, that it's just an alternating turn like games used to be. So like if we were playing Pixel Ripped, playing a Pixel Rip level, and we're connected, through the Oculus system or whatever. I play a turn, I get killed, now it's Roots' turn, but still we're playing together, we're talking the whole time, just like it used to be. Wouldn't that be a cool thing to add into this?
That would be cool, because that was some of my best memories of as a kid, having a friend stay the night, and you're just going back and forth playing together, right? And taking turns, except for usually you're doing it on the same account. But no, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see that added in, even if it doesn't play into like the main story campaign of this. I feel like this is such a creative concept that they could do DLC for this that like just let you play the games, the little arcade mini games and things that they incorporate into the story. It would be cool if you could just play those as a standalone game. And again, bring a friend, do 2 players, alternating turns. I mean, the possibilities are limitless with this, because the script's already been written, right? This is basically just our history as gamers.
Yeah, man. Doesn't that take you back in memories to those kids in the video store? Remember video stores, Blockbuster? Go rent a game. Man, those were the days. I mean, there's some of it that's not good about that, but I don't know. I think it just brings back memories just watching the preview.
Yeah. We used to rent games that, I come from a small town. We didn't have Blockbuster where I lived at. What we had was called the TV Center and Record Shop. And you could go there for $2 and rent a game for 2 days. And I wore that place out. I have specific memories of bringing home Super Mario Brothers 2 from there, and any number like TNC. What was that? Town and Country Surf Design or something like that. You remember the game I'm talking about? I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Skate or Die. I remember bringing Skate or Die home from there. Anyway, I've got some quotes here. from the developers. In the newest chapter of the acclaimed Pixel Rip series, gamers will take an unforgettable nostalgic trip back to 1995. I was 17 in 1995. In this virtual reality love letter to classic gaming, set in a classic era when 16-bit was evolving to 32 bits and first-generation console players were evolving from teens to adults. Players will take a trip inside and outside of their video game screens to save the universe. It says in the game, the hero Dot will recruit the help of the best gamer of that year, an unassuming 9-year-old boy named David, to face challenges together through the world of 2D games and the very first 3D game. So a couple of cool things here, Roots. First of all, we get to go back to our late teen years. This is the era we're traveling back to. And not only that, but apparently we're not only going to be forced to play as the little girl, Dot, but now there's finally a little boy we can play as, David.
Yeah, I can feel more at peace with myself being David. But no, that's I think I was 20, 20 when I was in 1995, and that's when the Nintendo 64 dropped. Because I remember I worked for a lawn service, and one of my friends owned a lawn service, and we went around looking for the Nintendo 64 everywhere, and we couldn't find it. And we went to one place, and the guy literally told us, "Oh man, you guys should have been. We just sold the last one like 3 minutes ago." And I was like, I didn't need to know that. Like, at some point, lie to me, tell me we haven't had them for weeks, dude. But yeah, no, I have such good memories about the Nintendo 64 and just how good it was.
Yeah. I think it was during that period in time. I didn't get an N64. I think that's when I went from Nintendo to PlayStation. I chose to actually go with the CD-ROM because the ability to have digital video and audio was just, groundbreaking at that time. And that's when I officially left Nintendo. Now, that said, I had friends that had the N64, so I probably have just as many hours in on the N64 as I did the original PlayStation.
Yeah, it was such a good time.
Players will remember that classic feeling of adrenaline when trying to play video games post-bedtime without getting caught, or the thrill of finally finding that brand new game at the store. They will venture through homages to the best games and genres from the 1990s, like action role-playing games, brawlers, platformers, space shooters, and racing games. And they will do it all while dodging the indignation of miffed parents through multiple environments. Living room, bedroom, the local video rental store, the arcade at the pier, and more. 6 fully original levels that each feel like entirely different games. Pixel Rip 1995 is an incredible journey for both VR and retro gamers. Roots, I feel like this is a game for us, by us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell it's geared towards our age group, our genre of gaming. And it's kind of cool because I was just telling somebody this a while ago that, not that people that are younger don't play VR, but our group is the niche, or has been since it's came out. It's just like most people are generally in our age group, right? Maybe a little bit older, but they have the same memories we do. And so I think that this is brilliant type of games. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like finally the demographic is starting to expand a little bit. But yeah, you're right. For the first 2 to 3 years of VR, it's only us old dudes that have the money to buy this stuff.
Yeah.
But the Oculus Quest is changing that quickly, as well as PlayStation VR. There's a lot of younger players on PlayStation VR.
Yeah, I agree. So I really am psyched to try this one sooner than later.
I am too. You think you're going to get back into the 1989 for a stint before Thursday, or are we going to run out of time?
I was thinking about it. I wanted to, at least just to kind of, I want to have something to compare the two, right? I want to recently played it, so I think so.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm like you. I want to play it, but this is one of those games that that requires repetitive practice. It's a difficult game. It's the way games used to be, the way that games should be. Damn it, games are too easy these days. I put my 11-year-old in Half-Life Alyx the other day, and I put him tetherlessly through the quest on virtual desktop, playing Half-Life Alyx. Not only did he not get sick from it, he didn't die. He played it till the battery ran out and didn't get killed.
Wow.
So, and I didn't put it on easy either. He played it on normal difficulty level.
Are you saying Half-Life Alyx isn't a hard game?
I'm saying that video games in general today are too easy.
Yeah, that's very true. Unless it lies beneath, and then people in the Discord rage about how unfair it is, because it is unfair.
Yeah, people you die 3 times and get upset about it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I haven't made it anywhere close to where everybody else has made it, and I've already noped out many times. Especially in VR, man, I don't have the patience to die over and over and over again on a lot of things. And so like something like this, I would, because that's the way these games were, and they're built to be fast, run through it fast. And the faster you run through it, the easier things line up. And I was really good at that. So, yeah.
I guess the games are just a reflection of the people, right? I mean, people just don't have patience anymore, and I guess that's the reason why the games have been, kind of softened a little bit in recent years.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, Pixel Rip 1995. None of that BS with this. I'm confident this is going to be a challenging game. 6 levels, Roots, and they say each level is like its own game.
I know, that's what's kind of cool, because I see like a little bit of Castlevania in there. I see some Double Dragon, it kind of looks like. I don't know, but I think there was some Double Dragon in there. But yeah, so it'll be kind of, is that that's Zelda maybe? So I don't know. Cool.
Yeah, dude, it looks awesome. It looks like everything that we loved about Pixel Rip 1989 is going to be, exponentially magnified in this game.
Yeah.
Anyway, more to come on this next week. By this time next week, we will have had our hands on it, and lots more to come on it. I'm quite certain. Man, as we all know, the pandemic has taken quite a toll on the video gaming industry, as it has everything else. But so many games have been shelved or delayed. Thankfully, the guys at Cloudhead Games have not been deterred by this, however, because they promised us a level every month. And they're continuing to live up to their promise, because just this past week, the Dark Skies update came to Pistol Whip. As per usual, we got a brand new Pistol Whip level. And as was the case last month, we got a few new guns too, right?
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't try the guns, but I actually looked over after I did the level, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I opened it up, and there was all those guns. And I was like, oh, cool. Now, do they fire differently, or are they just skins? Do you know?
Obviously their function in game is going to be the same. You shoot once, you kill the enemy. They do have a different sound to them, though. Okay. And the sound is actually customizable, as is the look. of any of the guns. You can customize the look and the sound of any of them.
Wow. Yeah. Now, I was, I wasn't 100% pumped to go into this game, just being honest, just because it's, I've played it so much. But I was really, really impressed with the way it looked. Looked really different and cool. Much cooler than any of the other levels I've seen so far. That plane, everything. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, the last couple of levels have been a little different than the earlier ones. And I don't know if they've optimized the game at all, but this time especially, it looked a lot cleaner in my Oculus Quest. Normally there's a lot of, shimmer and just artifacts when you go in and play this game in Quest. But I still prefer to play it in Quest because I can move around a lot better. And this time, man, it looked like I was playing on PC. I mean, it was really clean and really crisp looking.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, always looked as good as it, clean for on the PC as I've always seen, but it just looked really good. I really enjoyed the level that I played, and I might go back in.
Yeah. You should check out the one from last month. I forget what it's called. Maybe Akuma, or maybe that was the month before. I don't remember, but the one from last month, the Mad Max level is really cool too. This scene's visuals are said to be inspired by Ninja Gaiden's Airship, as well as movies like The Rocketeer, Sky Captain, The World of Tomorrow, and Captain America, The First Avenger. I didn't really notice any of that stuff in this, Roots. Maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention. But outside of that one break spot with the long bridges along the sides, it just looked like a normal pistol whip level, but just designed differently. Like the enemy placement was a little bit different.
Yeah, that's my only gripe about the game in general, except for like that part, is most of the level design is the same. It's just the skins and everything and where the players are. But I just think it looked so cool. But I did not notice any of that. But I have a hard time noticing the influence from the movies anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and that very well could be it, because I was totally zoned in on playing the game. I wasn't just, I guess that probably would make sense if we're going to be talking about this, for me to go in and just totally go into the modifiers and, dumb it down so that I can't get killed, just to be able to go through the level and actually take in the art and see what it looks like. Because when I'm playing, I'm just looking for bad guys and trying to kill people.
Yeah, I was just spamming the bullets. I was telling you, there was no rhythm. I didn't do Deadeye. I was just bam, 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 exactly like this person is doing it. Because there was actually a lot of enemies and they were all over the place. So I kind of feel like I had to do that. So
yeah, I always try to play on rhythm, and even to a fault. I've noticed that for me, it makes the game more difficult, because not only are you trying to shoot on rhythm, but when the enemies enter the scene, I could just shoot them real quick and kill them. But instead, I'm waiting for the beat, and it's giving them a chance to get shots off at me. So I'm having to dodge a lot more bullets just because I'm waiting to try to shoot to the beat,
Yeah, well, you said it took 7 or 8 times to get through it, and it took me 1. That's the difference. You actually played it the way it's designed, and it's a little bit harder, whereas I was just blowing right through it.
Yeah. Pretty much every enemy gets a bullet off at me, and I have to dodge it, like all of them.
Yeah, well, that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Well, that's what's so good about playing it on Oculus Quest, because you don't just have to duck and move a little left and right. I'm literally all over my room when I play this game, and generally between the beginning of the level and the end, at least 3 or 4 times, the game auto pauses and tells me to get back in my play area. That's how much I move around when I play this thing.
I bet. Yeah, see, I can't do that as much, but I don't know. I have a hard time, and maybe it would be solved with the Quest. I have a hard time really moving around too much. It's always on. I just stick in my spot, But of course, you play in a different area with your Quest as well, so you have more space. Correct? That makes a big
Actually,
difference.
this one today I played in here.
Oh,
I played in
okay.
this little space right here. That's probably why it kept stopping because I kept running into my boundary.
Okay. Yeah, I need a Mamefan space, like a huge, big old space. I could get it. I just have to move my bed out of the way. But
Yeah, I'm gonna one of these days, man. I'm just gonna throw all my furniture outside and just make a VR house.
I'm just gonna buy a separate house for VR, and it'll be right next
You
door.
could do that.
Mm.
That'll work. Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good to me.
Or we could do maybe if we keep growing, we could do like Sebastian and build this VR center for viewer supported. Of course, we'll let the viewers pay all the bills for it,
Yes.
and people could come from miles around to come in and try VR. That's what he's doing. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I didn't know
But,
that he was doing that, but I'll tell you what, for the price of an adult beverage, you could help virtual strangers do that, right? So,
Yeah, Patreon link in the description. But no, he's it's called the MRTV headquarters, and Sebastian, he has all the headsets. They send him all the Pimax stuff. He gets all this stuff. I don't know if he gets to keep it, but he's had like Xtal there. He's had Star VR there. He's had all this stuff. He's had the hand tracking or the haptic gloves he had not long ago. But anyone who's in Germany can call and set up an appointment, and you can visit the MRTV headquarters and demo all this stuff.
wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
It is cool. But yeah, he's got a whole big brand new studio now, and literally, if you watch one of his live streams, he puts his rent meter up, and people will call in and donate to pay his rent.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? Pay my rent, dude. Please.
Yeah, pay my rent, right?
Yeah. Well, he's giving people reasons for it. He's got a quality show, so that's good.
Yeah, one of the few that I still watch. I don't watch a lot of VR content anymore now that I make it. But when it comes to like hardware news, and you want to keep up, if you want an unbiased opinion about hardware, MRTV, you can't find a better source than Sebastian.
Yeah, definitely.
So back to the pistol whip here. Obviously you haven't been playing it as much, but I've noticed, especially over the last 2 or 3 updates, these guys at Cloudhead are getting better with their level design. Month after month after month. The music's pretty similar, but the level design is just getting sharper and sharper and sharper. And what's really exciting about that to me is and I mentioned it last time we covered one of these, they apparently have big plans for this game. They are not done with Pistol Whip, not even close. They're making it sound like they have plans to completely overhaul the game, like completely redo it.
Wow.
Reset the leaderboards type of updates coming for this thing. And they alluded to that once again this month when they said that they have, quote, a big vision for the game with, quote, new ways to play along changes, quote, building toward a major update planned for later this year. So not only are we going to get this gigantic fundamental change to Pistol Whip, but it's coming this year, Roots. Even they're saying that even now.
Oh, that's crazy. Let me ask you this. Do you ever pistol whip anybody?
Yeah, I do it as a measure and a means to stay alive. When your health bar goes down or your energy or whatever, whenever you take a couple of hits and you're close to death, you can regenerate your health by pistol whipping someone on beat.
Oh, okay.
And if you do that, your energy fills
I didn't
back
know
up.
that. Usually I just try to get the shots in, but I was going to say maybe they have some people pop up in such a way that you have no choice but to pistol whip some people, because usually everybody's so far away that I don't have to pistol whip people, so I don't, but I want to.
It's kind of a, when I plan on doing it, it's kind of a tricky situation because generally what happens is there'll be one guy in my path and I'll say, okay, I'm going to pistol whip that guy. And then as I get closer to him, all of a sudden the other dude jumps in and oh shit, there's two of them now. And I end up getting killed and have to go all the way back to the beginning of the level.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't want to start over, Wes. My patience again.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, dude. This is a 3-minute level, literally.
Yeah.
So,
well, and also
we can do that.
Yeah, it's true. And you said like, it's a workout. So.
Dude, my legs are busted. I played this game for 20 minutes. That's how long it took me to get through the level. With some of that though was me playing with the new guns and stuff. But it took me 20 minutes to play through it. But my legs are destroyed from that 20 minutes. I mean, it was quite a workout.
So you're saying anybody doing squats is wasting their time. They should just pistol whip it.
I'm saying that squats are not fun and pistol whip is.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, Cloudhead Games Twitter account hinted this past week that more information on the PSVR release could be coming soon. What a day. I mean, what a rest of the year PlayStation VR has coming for it. Not only do they have the Sony first party stuff coming like Iron Man, but they've got Pistol Whip still to look forward to, as well as The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Man, as good as the end of last year was for PC VR, I feel like if the world starts to normalize a little bit, PSVR guys are going to have a really, really good few months coming up.
Yeah, and they even get pixel ripped as well.
Yeah, Pixel Rip coming next month, according to the developer.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pistol Whip Dark Skies update. This is the next to last of the monthly updates. We get one more, Roots. What do you think?
Is that so? We get one more, and then what? They're going to do the overhaul?
No, they just said that they were going to give us one per month through May, and it was supposed to lead up into E3. And my thought is that at E3 they were going to announce the PSVR version. So I imagine that's probably what's probably going to come next is PSVR Pistol Whip.
Cool.
I think this game will play too well on PSVR. You don't. This isn't a game that you need 360 tracking for. The move controllers always have done well as a pistol grip. For example, Rush of Blood. Just phenomenal shooting. The move controllers feel great. The tracking was, spot on. I feel like just since this is a single motion controller game that is pretty much 180 tracking, I feel like this is going to really translate well to PSVR.
Yeah, I think it will as well. I think you PSVR people are going to love it.
I agree. Anyway, one more level coming out next month. Be on the lookout for that. And PSVR people, don't sleep on it. It's coming very soon, according to the developer. Roots, whenever we've talked about resolution games before, the developer of this brand new VR title, Blaston, it's always kind of the same narrative with them. We always praise them for not straying too far away from the recipe. They know what works for them and they stick to it and they do well. They did a very good job with Angry Birds VR, the Isle of Pigs. Bait, the free title for the Oculus Quest, as well as Akron, Attack of the Squirrels, the multiplayer asymmetrical co-op game that came out just this last year. It's always kind of the same thing with them, and they always do a solid job. So you could imagine my surprise this past week when we saw the announcement of this game, Blaston. And what Blaston is a brand new VR game that pits players against each other in intense PvP duels that challenge them to stay in constant motion and blast their opponents with incredible precision using an assortment of high-tech, futuristic weaponry. So it's a dueling game, Roots. So Resolution's getting away from this arcade-style, mobile-style, cutesy little game, and they're going full-on, blast you in the face, dueling. I'm trying to think of another game that we've seen like this, and I'm kind of hard-pressed to think of one. Roots, what about you?
No, I mean, I was going to say, is this kind of like a gun version of Iron Lights, but it's not turn-based, and it sounds like bullet hell against another person, where you constantly need to be on the move because they're shooting stuff at you. Is it like two platforms, I guess, and you're just, like you said, you're dueling? Do I get to like walk 5 paces away from you, and then we turn around? I want a old-fashioned duel. I want to take a glove and slap you across the face first.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll have that mode in there where you can do the old-fashioned duel. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about these details of how exactly the game is structured. All I know is what I just said to you there. It is going to be a face-to-face dueling contest. And I got to imagine that there's some kind of nuance to it, though, because, I mean, otherwise you're going to be dead in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, true. Well, it looks interesting, like where you can actually dodge the bullets and watch them going by. And
looks like it's scoring based. I think I saw a scoreboard in the background there.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and like to see what this is about. And at least they're thinking outside the box and they're trying different stuff, and it looks good. So
yeah, it absolutely does look good. I mean, if you're going to do a shooter, I mean, so many people have done wave shooters and rail shooters. I mean, it's been done 100 times over. So kudos to these guys for at least trying to do something different, right?
Yeah, and I want to shoot the Velox 4000. Looks pretty badass.
It looks pretty badass.
Yeah.
They say we really couldn't be more excited about Blaston. It's definitely a departure from the cooperative gameplay that Resolution Games has become known for, and will introduce a whole new genre and audience of players to our studio. That's a quote from Tommy Palm, the CEO of Resolution Games. So apparently these guys are pretty hyped to be venturing outside of their wheelhouse for a change.
Yeah, I think I would be too. Especially if you're really, like, who knows how amazing this game can be.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, I don't know if I put this in the notes or not, they've been working on this game for a while. Over a year, they've been developing this game. I read in an article. Blaston is expected to launch sometime later this year, as is their previously announced multiplayer game, Cookout, a sandwich tale. I don't know if you caught the announcement of the Cookout game a couple of months ago, but they actually have another game coming up as well.
Oh, cool. I don't think I did.
Yeah, we didn't cover it too much because it was another one of those mobile looking, party style, minigame style games. And I wanted to get some more info on it before I added it into the show.
Yeah.
And instead of more info on that one, we got a whole new game in Blaston. And this one looks seriously cool.
Yeah, definitely.
You can sign up for updates at blaston.com if this is something that you're interested in. And no platform has been announced quite yet, but the sign-up list seemingly suggests that it's going to come to Rift, Quest, PSVR, HTC Vive, and WMR. So basically, all of the major VR platforms at the time that they started development of the game.
No Star VR, I noticed. Of course,
Yeah.
nobody owns it, but that is available,
Star
right?
VR.
You can buy the Star
Yeah.
VR.
You absolutely can. I didn't even bother to see how much it costs because I know it's too much.
Yeah, it's too much for me as well. And I don't even know that I could run it on my, I mean, I've got a good computer, but you know, it's a lot of things people don't take into consideration. It's like I want the hardware, but I might not be able to run it because I can barely run, well, for some people, barely run what they're running already.
Yeah, I know, right? Them people just take their computers for granted. And dude, bro, I've got a 1070.
Yeah, I got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I just got the newest Ryzen CPU. I take it back. No, it's good.
I'm running an i5, man, a 1070. What the hell do you want
Yeah,
from me?
it should be running everything.
So yeah, Blaston coming to us from Resolution Games later this year. Multiplayer fun, Roots. I'm looking forward to learning more.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so this is Agent of Chernobyl from Lenoga Game Studios. This is a game that we actually talked about before. We featured this game on Virtual Strangers 47. I don't know if you remember, Roots, but there was a week that was just an awesome week for like dark horror game announcements. And that was when we first learned about Lies Beneath. We learned about Cosmophobia, the game coming to us from the creator of Dread Halls. And then there was another game, and that game was The Agent of Chernobyl. This is a horror sci-fi video game set in the age of the Cold War, where you fill the shoes of a secret KGB agent assigned on a mission to go to Chernobyl, where the reactor has just broken down. You'll be navigating in dark forests and corridors, battling weird and deadly creatures along the way. So this is a game we talked about then. At that time, about 6 or 8 weeks ago, we had no idea when it was coming out. And just this past week, it was released into early access. And the cool thing about it is these developers here at Lenoga Game Studios, they saw that we were talking about their game on the Virtual Strangers program, and they actually contacted me, Roots, and they wrote this really cool letter talking about how they appreciated our passion for the VR platform, and they really expressed gratitude to us for covering their game. And the cool thing about it, Roots, was they gave us a handful of keys to spread and pass along to our community. So that's what we're doing here today. We're going to talk a little bit about Agent of Chernobyl, and then if you are interested in playing this game and helping to develop it, because it is an early access title, the developer needs feedback. Then all you have to do is 1, subscribe, and 2, leave a comment down below stating that you would like to have a copy of Agent of Chernobyl for yourself. So, Roots, you and I both put a little bit of time into this game today. What were your first impressions of it?
My first impressions was actually I was really impressed with the gunplay and the way that everything lined up and how they had everything all on your belt and how easy it was to access. There's a lot of versatility into it, and it just seemed very natural to me, and it just was cool.
Yeah, a lot to like here. A lot of things to build on. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is obviously a game from an independent studio. This is obviously an early access title. There is work to be done here. But with that said, I thought the visuals looked pretty good for a game of this size. It's story driven. I really like the nighttime setting of it. It had this kind of this kind of eeriness to it. And like you, I like how easy it was to access all of the items, and not easy, right? I mean, there was an initial period where it was pretty easy when you were just getting through the forest. But as soon as you encounter human enemies in this thing, it's game on, right?
Yeah, those soldiers are crack shot shooters. Now, I never made it to the plane. I kind of want to get on this plane. That looks pretty cool. But yeah, no, those I must have died. I don't even know how many times to those soldiers. They're hard. They're very good at shooting, and yeah.
Yeah. They don't have to be as close to you as you need to get to them. I mean, they'll headshot you from a mile away, won't they?
Yeah, I'm not a soldier though, so that makes sense. They really were trained very well. They're Russian soldiers in the Chernobyl time period. They weren't messing around.
Yeah, the last time I was in it, I did discover though that if you're careful, you can sneak up on these guys and stealth kill them with that knife. And our KGB guy is a friggin' killer with that knife. Like he can one shot all those dudes with the knife.
Oh wow! I never tried the knife to cut anything except for the barbed wire or whatever was blocking that made you cut with it. But I'll have to try that next time.
Yeah, but anyway, the story, we didn't play it that much yet. We just got the keys to it a couple of days ago. The setting at the beginning is you're trying to infiltrate Chernobyl. You're kind of getting off this train and you're going through this forest. How much time did you spend in that forest the first time you went through it?
Not too much. Probably like 5 minutes, maybe.
Did you notice some weirdness? Like I went the wrong way before I went the right way, and it seemed like maybe I was hallucinating or something, because you have your spot where you get off the train, right? And there's the little thing that shows you how to use your items and all this, clipboard or whatever. And I went, off in one direction, and I came to a ladder. I climbed the ladder and went up onto the platform, 50, 100 feet in the air. And then I walked forward a little bit and I came to the train again. and it was like strange, like I know I'm not at the train. I just climbed up this thing, right? So I don't know. It was kind of weird. I kind of felt like the design of it was meant to, disorient you.
It may have been. I did get turned around a couple times now that you mention it, like where I was like, I ran and then I was like, but it was more towards the soldier area. And I was like, wait a minute. Like I was, all of a sudden I was back at that place where you cut with the knife. And I was like, what the hell? And somehow I got turned around and so I just kind of assumed that I guess I got lost. I don't know, man. That's weird.
But but you're trying to infiltrate Chernobyl. There are human guards there. You have a pistol with unlimited ammunition. You have a knife. In all the meantime, not only do you have to watch your health, from all the fighting and stuff that you're doing, but you also have to watch your radiation levels. So you can't really linger too much, because if your radiation level gets too high, you're going to die. So you're constantly looking for anti-radiation medication, but after you get it, you got to go, right?
Yeah, and then you need to get health because the soldiers are shooting you. And that's one thing that I didn't even realize for a while. I was like, man, why are these soldiers one-shotting me? And then I realized, oh God, I have no health. Because I wasn't grabbing the health or the radiation. I was just trying to chill, just run right through. Doesn't work that way, brah. I found out the hard way.
Yeah. But anyway, it's still a work in progress. There's still a lot of work to be done here, but I definitely feel like it's a solid foundation to build a game upon. And, as we get deeper into it, I'm looking forward to learning, what the story is here, because as you can see from this trailer, the enemies are starting to take a less human form as you go on.
Yeah, I'm kind of psyched to see what's going to go on in the story as well. Just got to put a little bit more time in.
Right. So that's what my plan is here. I'm going to go in from time to time, leave the developer some feedback. And again, if you would like to do the same, try the game out, give the developer your feedback, help to build it into a really solid indie VR title, then all you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment down below. We're going to take entries for a week, and then next week on the Monday show, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, we will announce the winners for the Agent of Chernobyl giveaway. And we'll give out the keys.
Yep, that could be you.
They also have outlined some of the future plans for the game, stuff that they want to add in that's not in there right now. They're planning a horde mode. They're planning co-op multiplayer routes, so you can play through it with a friend. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
They're planning on adding different difficulty levels, achievements, Oculus Home items, and other various Easter eggs.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Anyway, that's Agent of Chernobyl from Lenoga Game Studios, available today on the Oculus Store. Check it out. I said it at the top, Roots. We don't need new concepts. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. All we really need to have a good time in VR are some really solid sequels from our favorite Gen 1 titles. And we just learned yesterday that Daily Magic Productions has announced a sequel to 2018's The Witching Tower. And this is going to be called Witching Tower Heroes, and it expands upon the fantasy universe with a far more action-oriented edition. Roots, I never really got into The Witching Tower. It's one of those games that's fairly high up on my backlog list. I just never got around to it. But I know Justin played it and he enjoyed it. I think Alex did too. Most people who played The Witching Tower said it's pretty solid. Have you tried it?
I don't remember playing it, but I don't know that I'm going to now because this one looks so good. Why would I go back to the first when I got this one? Well, I don't have it yet, but it does look really good. This game, it just looks like it's, like you said, very action packed.
Yeah, the first one had you exploring a tower to find and defeat the evil queen at the center, the Witching Tower. In this one, you play as a fearless hero sent to a war-torn kingdom to deal with all sorts of undead creatures which have been loose from the Dark Tower. So it's fundamentally, it's a different kind of game than the first one. The first one was a little more slow-paced, a little more exploration, where this one's more action. Really, the only thing that's tying them together is the universe that it's taking place in. It's kind of part of the same world.
Yeah, well, I like more action, so I think I'll like this one better. But then again, like I said, I don't remember trying the other one. I might have gone into it at some point, but I just don't remember.
Right. Yeah, it's in our library, and it's also available on Viport Infinity, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I definitely at least need to give it a shot then.
Yeah, for sure. We have a quote here from the developers. They say the game is stable and fully playable right now from start to finish. The game has three maps, and each map has unique gameplay. Players have access to 4 different weapon types, which are very different from one another. The game is beginner friendly, even to people unfamiliar with VR at all, and has plenty of customization options, allowing players to tweak the controls to their liking. So this is a sign of a seasoned VR developer, Roots. They know what the people want, and what the people want are options.
Yeah, give us some options. Let us turn the smooth locomotion on. Don't give us a little halo around our head every time we move, and I'm happy.
Yeah, it'd be difficult to deal with in a game like this, right? Where you're constantly battling all these minions.
I can't stand having any kind of limitations on my view, or sometimes even just snap turn is annoying. It's like, man, I don't get sick. Let me smooth turn. I just really want a smooth turn, and they just don't let me because of the small minority of people that get sick. So.
It's a mixed bag with me in smooth turning. I prefer smooth turning, but only if it's fast enough. Like if you give me smooth turning and it's just slow, then I'd rather have a snap turn than that.
Yeah, just let us speed that up as well, right? Because in real life, I'm not slowly turning.
Right.
I'm whipping around real quick. And like I said, I don't get sick, so.
Well, that's what they're promising to give us here is plenty of options for the VR enthusiast as well as the VR newcomer.
Nice.
Player versus player and 4-player co-op are in the pipeline and will be released in the nearest future. Other than that, we will add more content to the game, more weapons, abilities, maps, and etc. Another feature in the works are role-playing game elements and unlockable special abilities that bring more depth to the combat. So 4-player co-op coming up in the nearest future, Roots.
That's cool. You know what would also be cool besides 4-player co-op would be 4-player PvP. It's usually in a game like this, it'd be one-on-one, right? But can you imagine 4 people running around with swords and bow and arrows and just chaos? You know, I think it'd be really cool.
Well, to be quite honest, I'm not the biggest fan of versus multiplayer, but the co-op is right down my alley. I like sharing my experience with my friends.
I'm just not good big on one-on-one because that doesn't leave me anywhere to hide. Give me 4 people, then I can at least pretend like I'm not the one dying all the time. And I just think it would be chaotic to have 4 people all going at it and trying, you know, as you're trying to shield and attack or defend one person, you got somebody trying to come up behind you. And I think it just could add a completely different element to PvP that really doesn't exist in VR too much, you know?
Just a free-for-all.
Just a free-for-all, even just a mode, you know? But it's just usually games like this, especially when it's melee, it's always one-on-one. And I just think that... think outside the box and have a 2-on-2 or all-out battle royale where everybody's, you know, fighting. Throw in some monsters coming out at the same time attacking you. You can have chaos going on in there.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they will. They do say PvP's in the works here, so maybe it will be a free-for-all. Who knows?
Yeah, just give us that option. Give us more options.
Right. More options. Well, anyway, either way, there won't be long to wait as an early access launch is scheduled for the 29th of April,
Wow.
Roots. So another game dropping this month just out of nowhere. Another sequel supporting Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, Valve Index, and WMR. So basically all the major PC VR platforms. And if it's anything like the first one, it came to PC first, but it did end up on PlayStation VR.
So I've got 11 days.
I would imagine,
right? To
right.
play. I gotta play the first one now. If I'm gonna try this one, I have to at least get in there. So
Well, I tend to be of the same mindset. You know, it's been in my backlog forever. No better time than now to see what all the fuss is about,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Who knows? Maybe there's some co-op in there that we don't know about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know much about it except for everything you said that Alex and Mamefan both said it was really good. So.
Well, you know what? I can't think of a better time than right now to go to this week's installment of Viveport in Real Time. And we're going to check Viveport in real time to see if the Witching Tower is, in fact, part of Viveport Infinity, like I think it is.
Yeah. And if you don't have Viveport, I don't know if it's still $27, but man, jump on it if it is. Everybody.
$2.25 per month.
Yeah, that's crazy. And they're constantly adding new games, you know? And you can play Tornuffalo. Like, if that's not enough of a reason to get Infinity.
Witching Tower VR is, in fact, part of Viveport Infinity.
Wow, you could play this and the Morrigan back to back, and the Morrigan is really good. Oh, not this, I guess, the first one.
Right. And I'm looking at, just on my search results page here for Witching Tower, I can see Final Assault, I can see Fruit Ninja VR, and this is just stuff that just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That part of your $2.25 a month payment to
you know
Viveport.
what they don't have that made me sad that you told me last week when you let me know that they didn't have fat foods or whatever. You're like,
You know what?
is it on there?
No, but it is on sale on the Oculus Store right now for like $3 or $4.
Really? I might pick that up, dude, because that's why I picked up Cats and Lasers or whatever. It was like $5. I was like, man, that game's good. I'm going to pick it up. I mean, I don't know if Fat Foods is good, but I don't know. I just want to roll around for a while.
Well, I mean, it's a accredited studio. It's trying to think of what their name is. It's the studio that's bringing us the Elysia MMO game later this year.
Oh, okay.
So White I don't. I'll get it wrong if I guess that. I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, it comes from a good studio, so it probably is a fun game.
Yeah, have to check that out.
Anyway, Witching Tower Heroes, yet another great looking VR sequel, due out on 29th April on PCVR. Check it out.
Three left.
So, Roots, what kind of weird sorcery is this? You know, I look at this and I think I'm looking at Wolfenstein, and then, you know, I go around the corner and here's this stinking combine soldier trying to take my head off. And then I look at the hands and look at the guns, and there's the gravity gloves. It's like some kind of weird VR nightmare, right?
Yeah, it's weird. And it says you have two different guns there. That's kind of cool. Yeah, no, I didn't really even know how cool this looked. You know, I had read about that this was possible and immediately wrote it off. And my first question is Mamefan going to play this, and is he going to top the leaderboard? And is there a leaderboard? Because I know that was one of the things he, at least for, I don't know, several months, or probably still there. He's probably still top of the leaderboard for this game because he's just that good and he's put that much time into it. But it looks really good.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the leaderboards here, but I can go ahead and answer your first question. Yes, absolutely. Mamefan is going to play this at some point. This is right down his alley, dude. This is the type of shit he loves. This is the type of gameplay that he tries to play, like all the time. He wants to run and gun. This is what his this is his wheelhouse. And for those of you who don't know what this is we're looking at, this is one of the first. I'm not going to say it's the first. It's one of the first things that people said that we should be expecting with the new Half-Life game, and that is mods. People said when they announced Half-Life Alyx is coming to VR that the game itself is only just the beginning, because really what the story is with Half-Life is what the modders end up doing with it. And as short as the period of time that this game has been out, Roots, we've already seen a couple of solid mods, but I think that this one here takes the cake so far. This one actually looks like it might be worth my time.
Yeah, it looks really fun because I enjoyed the original Wolfenstein game that in VR, and just bringing in the graphics and the guns and the teleport and the magnet hands, and makes me wonder what other old school game, like what are we gonna get? Like I mean, who knows what kind of games we're gonna get, or mods, or it's just so cool that they can take something like this and just make it 10 times better.
So what they've done here is they've downloaded the Wolfenstein game, like the maps, the some of the sound effects, even some of the secret areas, or maybe even all of the secret areas are present in this game. But instead of the classic enemies, we now have combine soldiers. I think they said there are antlions instead of dogs in this game. Yeah, well, there you go.
Wow.
So basically, the guns and enemies are from Half-Life. The maps are from Wolfenstein, and I think you've got sound effects from both. Just a cool mashup of generations.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna have like Russell in there talking to you or anything like that. I did see something that went across, and it was like, you know, something about the Half-Life world, like in wording, but I I don't know. This just looks really cool. And I was just telling people in the Discord, I was just lying to you guys last week when I said I'm not going to be playing any mods because I just watched this and I want to play it. And so apparently, I guess I didn't lie. I just didn't know. But because I've already beat the game and I had decided, I'm pretty much, I beat it. I'm moving on. But apparently, I'm not moving on, Wes. I'm going to be Wolfensteining it up or whatever it's called. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be playing mods for this game for years to come. This stuff that we're getting right now is just stuff that people have been able to do with it based on their own ability. Valve hasn't even released the modding tools for this yet, and that's coming. It's coming soon.
Yeah, I can't wait for Gary's mod in VR. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, it's totally coming. You know it's coming,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and plus a lot of new games, man. Like I've said before, people don't realize a lot of the best Valve games started out as mods or games that were created with Gary's mod. So,
Right. So who knows what the official modding tools that Valve releases are actually going to do for the VR platform.
yeah, that's it for the VR platform in general. What's it going to do? What can people make with it? And what can they bring into VR that isn't in VR right now that we want? And it's just going to be exciting.
It's kind of like Dreams, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. It's kind of like Dreams. So I guess the Dreams person in our Discord will probably really appreciate, what they're doing with this as well, right? Because I imagine when Dreams does drop, the people are going to be making all sorts of amazing VR, or the VR mod of it drops. They're going to be making amazing things in VR.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering to myself today, what kind of Half-Life stuff are the Dreams community going to come up with? Somebody's going to try to remake some of this stuff anyway.
Yeah. Well, my question to you is, will somebody make this game right here, Wolfenstein Alyx, on PC so you could play it flat? I'm just kidding. I don't.
Yeah, man, they've cracked that code. They have it fully playable now on flat, and it just looks like a shit show, dude.
Yeah, it did actually look bad. Like when the video, I saw it on Reddit, and it was like the gun being thrown, and it was all glitchy, and I was like, no, man, like you're, it's just bad.
Yeah, it's like they're taking a Polaroid of a Picasso, right?
Yeah, rest in peace. It's you just killed Half-Life Alyx now, you flatties.
PD did a hilarious video on it, by the way. If you see the video that it says that it explains the flat mod for Half-Life Alyx, you should watch it. It's a very short video and it's hilarious.
I will, actually. I haven't watched a PD video for a while, and I feel kind of dirty for that because he's my friend and I need to watch his stuff. And he's got good content, so.
Yeah, definitely check that one out. I laughed out loud watching it. Anyway, Wolfenstein. Let me ask you this, Roots. Looking at this and how smooth it is and how cool it looks, what do you think is a better game? Half-Life Alyx Wolfenstein or Wolfenstein Cyberpilot?
Oh, God. This game, Half-Life. I couldn't even, oh, man. Wolfenstein, that was one of those ones that I would use as an example of people expecting something more because it's of the series and being very disappointed. Not that it was bad, but it just wasn't what people wanted, And this actually, I enjoyed the Wolfenstein and the fact that I can now fight against real enemies that are going to be tough and they look amazing just like the game. And I've got these cool magnet gloves and I'm pulling stuff around and I just think it's cool. It's just so much better than the original Wolfenstein 3D that they brought in, even though that was cool because it was nostalgic, but this just makes it 10 times better.
Agreed. This looks pretty awesome. And just for some guy just to be able to do this, I think is really, really something else. And it just points to the potential that Source 2 has for VR.
Yeah, plus if like you're tight on money and you don't have $60 and you want to try Half-Life Alyx, now granted it's not Half-Life Alyx, the story, all of it coming together, but you're getting a taste of it, and then you're going to go spend $60 because you just want to play it because it's so good, right? So
yeah. I mean, it's a steep price, but that said, things like this are going to continue to pop up and add value to it. So
yeah,
this, like I mentioned before, this is not the first mod. We actually got one last week called Zen Thug, and it's basically it was a wave shooter, a Half-Life Alyx inspired wave shooter, but from what people say, it's pretty solid and pretty fun.
yeah. See, that would be the ones that I don't know. I'm looking for a little bit more than a wave shooter, but like you said, just the fact that it's being made, and again, it's something that you can get. Now, you don't have to own the game. I'm presuming that it's free, right? Or am I just making that up?
I'm sorry, ask the question again.
Oh, just you don't have to own Alyx to be able to play these mods, right?
Well, I mean, I would imagine that you would, because you have to mod Alyx.
No. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah. Well, I guess then it's not free.
No. I mean, it's a free update, but you've got to have the base game.
I gotcha. Or you got to have somebody in your shared library that does.
Or that. Yeah, apparently, now that I've put my $60 into it, now you can share it in your library.
Yeah, well, at least you own it now. Someone else can enjoy it. Just got to find
They knew what they were doing. They knew nobody would wait the 24 hours, right? Like, we'll just keep family sharing off for a minute, and as soon as they think about complaining, they will have already bought it, and we can just give it to them then.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Anyway, keep an eye out on I guess Reddit would be the place to watch out for stuff like this. I'm sure there's probably a subreddit set up dedicated just to Half-Life Alyx modding, and lots more to come on that front, I assure you.
Yeah, and if you don't want to watch the subreddit that closely, just watch like a specific one. Just watch Reddit, like in general, like you said. If it's anything worth anything, it'll be the top. It'll be all over the the popular stuff. So,
right, exactly. So this is Spellpunk, Roots, and I saw this trailer not that long ago, and I can't place where I saw it at, and I don't really remember what I read about it, but what I do remember is just how cool the art style of this game looks. And this is not a unique concept. We've had magic dueling games before in VR. Unspoken comes to mind, but this one is a little bit different because the way this is going to work, the whole thing is gesture based. So you're sitting here, you're taking on a friend, and you're not pressing buttons, but you're actually drawing out runes in the air, and each one has a specific spell attached to it. So while it's not the most original concept in the world, it definitely seems like a unique take on something that we've seen before.
Yeah. Well, what looks different about it? Well, of course, I haven't played those other games, but I like how he's able to reflect or deflect things back at the person. So you gotta watch the spells you're throwing; they can send it back at you, and it can get really crazy. And I've said this before, and this is completely off the thing, but I want Tron, man. I want to be on those platforms with the discs, and I just think it could be so good, dude. Like, and this is, I mean, just an example of what you can do. Now, is there any part of you that wants to be screaming out spells like Le Guardian Leviosa or something, like encapsulate some voice as well, and everybody be yelling at each other as you're fighting? It'd be cool.
It does seem like a no-brainer, doesn't it? We have the voice activated controls. We have the capability of doing it. You'd think by now somebody would have came out with the Harry Potter VR game, right?
Yeah, because I mean, you got the wand, and I don't know. We were just talking about that not too long ago, and somewhere one of the things that we were doing multiplayer and gaming science teacher was saying it would be really cool to do Quidditch, and I think I agree. I would love to fly around on a broom and play a sports game. So I don't know.
That's the answer. We were talking off air about Servios and how they were kind of on Twitter asking people what they'd like to see in VR. That should have been the answer, right? Harry Potter.
Yeah, I want to roam around Hogwarts, and they could, I mean, you get the right developer, Servios, one that's really good, you could make an amazing Harry Potter game.
Absolutely. Now, Spellpunk, this is coming to us from Incineration Productions. Look at how nice and polished and everything this looks. This is actually an early access title from a first-time developer.
Wow. Now, is this is actual gameplay, or is this more of like artists rendering of it?
I do believe that this is actual. I mean, I don't think that that these shots are taken from actual gameplay, but I do think that these clips are rendered out in the game engine. This is what the game looks like.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I think it looks really cool. It's different. It's kind of like that comic book look that everyone likes to do. And it looks like it's good. Now, was he fighting two different people, or maybe it looked like he turned from one platform to the other, but probably just another clip going to another one. But again, that would be cool to me if you had multiple people you were trying to fight off. But I think I probably just saw that weird, being that it's so early or late.
Yeah, no info on that. I didn't read anything about that kind of multiplayer with it, but who knows? It may be. So generally, when you see stuff like this and it looks as good as it does, you tend to think, well, this is just some kind of concept art. This is something way off in the future, and it's not going to look like this when it comes to us. Set for release April 24th, Roots.
Wow.
So just this week, later this week, we're going to have this game in our hands.
That's crazy. Now, is this this looks like it'd be a good quest game, right?
It does. I mean, this art style certainly lends itself quite nicely to Oculus Quest. Lies Beneath comes to mind, right off the top of my head. That game looks absolutely beautiful in the Quest. But this is being touted for PC VR headsets via Steam and Viveport early access.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so Viveport. Okay.
So, generally when you have a new developer and you have, it's their first game coming into early access, they generally have some proving to do, right? They have to prove themselves. and show people what they can do. They generally don't have, a resume to lean on to say, hey, look at what we've done. But very notably, a lady by the name of Pinka, I'm going to butcher her name. I already know. Koneva. Pinka Koneva? 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 I don't know.
Pinka.
Pinka, yeah. She's in charge of the music. And you say, well, okay, who's that? Well, she's best known for her contributions to AAA games like Prince of Persia, Forgotten Sands, World of Warcraft Legion, StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, and Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls. So this person is in charge of the music, and while these developers might not have the largest resume to lean upon, this lady certainly does, and I got to imagine with a resume like that, that in itself is enough to lend some sort of credibility to the level of quality that we're going to see in this game.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? That's crazy that somebody with that much pedigree for music and games is on this, but that's cool.
Yeah, it certainly makes you think that these developers, as unknown as the company may be, the individuals maybe not so much, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that's all it takes. You see, we've seen so many games over the last year or so where, it's like, okay, what is this company? And they're like, oh, these people worked on Halo, they worked on this, they worked on that, and it's like, oh my God, okay, they know what they're doing. So that's cool. At least we know that the music is going to be good, and I don't think they would be able to get somebody with that much of a pedigree if the game wasn't equally good. So
exactly. Now, did you play the World of Warcraft Legion? I know you were into WoW for a while there.
I think I did play some of it, but I don't know. You had me at World of Warcraft. I don't care which expansion. Some are better than others, but definitely one of the longest standing games of its time that still is able to hold its subscribers. Every other game like that has gone to free to play because they just can't keep enough people in it. And World of Warcraft is still going strong.
So yeah, definitely a notable franchise, as are the rest of these that Pinka has worked on. Pinka. Anyway, Spellpunk looks cool, man. I mean, I don't know a lot about it. I guess we know everything we need to know, and everything that we don't know, we're going to know soon enough, huh?
Yeah, less than a week, 5 days from tomorrow or today, or I don't know, whatever day it is now when this is playing.
I wonder if this is. I wonder if it's going to be on Infinity or if it's just going to be available for purchase.
I hope it's on Infinity because I'd like to try it and see how good it is. And it would be a good way to fill the multiplayer, right? I mean, it would be smart.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a multiplayer game in VR, you kind of have to have players in the lobbies. It's kind of a prerequisite, right?
Well, and if you think about it, okay, say you know your game's good, but you don't think people are going to try it, or they might be hesitant. Gives them a way to try it. Gets the gaming pool or the amount of players in there worth playing. And then we've seen it. Games come and go. You let it be on there for a month or two, and then you pull it out and sell it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that was kind of the downfall of Unspoken, the magical dueling title that I mentioned at the top of the segment. That game came from AAA developer. I mean, that was from Insomniac, wasn't it? And they were even playing that, using that as one of the very first VR esports, big tournaments and things with that one. But eventually it went the way that most VR multiplayer games go, and it succumbed to its empty lobbies, and I think they closed the servers down on it.
Yeah, what a bummer. Well, gotta price it right. I don't know what the price was, but apparently it wasn't right.
It was just an early title. It was ahead of its time. So there's a lot more headsets out there now, so I got to imagine that hopefully if this is a good game, that it'll catch on and people will actually participate.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Well, let's get away from the realm of known quantities and let's talk about some good old-fashioned speculation and rumors, Roots, because you know I love evil games, right? You know I love a good horror game in VR, and none of them I love more than Resident Evil 7. And I just wanted to take a few minutes here at the end of the show to talk about Resident Evil 8, because in the last couple of weeks, we're starting to see rumors come from every which direction about this game. And I've taken down a few of these rumors here because they come from very reliable sources. Respected names in the video game community have given us some hint as to what to expect from the follow-up to 2017's Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So this is Resident Evil 8. It's going under the working title of Village right now, and the reason being is because instead of being confined to an estate like you were in Part 7, now you're going to be in this European village that exists in the shadow of this looming dark European castle. I, for one, hope that at least the game ends up there. I'd love to be able to explore one of these old European castles in VR.
Yeah, me too. And I wonder how Jack will somehow pop his head out. 'Cause he's alive forever, man. I just think that he'll never die, at least in my mind, because he's never died against me. It's just like he keeps coming back, Wes. I don't like him.
Well, while I highly doubt there's going to be any Jack in Resident Evil 8, rumor has it, Roots, that you will once again be reprising the role of Ethan. So this is actually supposed to be a continuation of Ethan's story.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know too much about Ethan's story, but I think Resident Evil, I played some of my son was actually reminding me of some of the, it's like, yeah, I remember we played that on this system and that, like played a lot of like other Resident Evils, but I didn't get too much into them. I guess he did more than I did. So.
Yeah, I was really into Resident Evil in the early days. 1, I absolutely loved. I played 2 and liked it as well, but it seemed to me like as the sequels kept coming, the game kind of departed from what I really loved about the original one. All of the supernatural elements to it, all of the claustrophobic, old manor that you have to find your way out of. And it went away from that sort of a game to more of a standard zombie shooter game. But in recent years, and notably with Resident Evil 7, it returned to a lot of the things that made the first one great. And, that's one of the things I really loved about 7, not to mention the fact that you can play it in VR, and we all know what that did for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but the rumors have it that Resident Evil 8 will be in first person as Resident Evil 7 was, and it will release in 2021, and it will feature, quote, serious departures from the other mainline entries. So they're going in new directions with 8, much like they did with 7. I said they went back to a lot of the elements that made the first one great. Well, there was also some fairly big departures with Resident Evil 7, namely first-person perspective and VR. But all this info is coming to us from the industry insider who goes by the name of Dusk Golem. And again, it points to a release on current and next-gen consoles next year. It says the game will feature many narrative and mechanical departures from the series, including hallucination and insanity segments, as well as enemies based on mythical creatures such as werewolves. Now, you know me, Roots. It's like I'm sitting here and writing out my wish list for the next Resident Evil game,
Yeah,
right?
how cool would it be to go up against werewolves? You know, you got silver bullets and like just a completely different take on it, right? Because it's not. I can't remember the last game I've seen a werewolf in.
Right. We have these supernatural creatures, and I'll repeat once again, hallucination and insanity segments. This sort of thing in VR is extremely jarring, and it's just the sort of thing I look for in a game, and it's something that we don't see enough of in VR games, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, especially what was it? Here They Lie. You were saying if you look at the pictures long enough, they change, and you know, I'm a big fan of you know, you're going one direction and you turn around and there's a wall there and where you just came from, and you're like, what the hell? Where am I going? And in VR, it's perfect because you know, all you have to do is turn your head and it can render it right behind you, and you turn back and it's gone. It's like, oh my God, didn't I just come that way? There was one game that I can't remember. I was saying, it felt like the game was messing with me, like because everywhere I went, things were changing, and I literally felt like it was deliberately messing with me specifically, which obviously that's not the case, but that's how it made me feel, which is the way I want to feel, you know, in a game like that. So
That's one of the exciting things about the PlayStation 5 and the capability of their new SSD that they've developed that people aren't really considering quite yet because it's so early on. But you know, Cerny, when he's describing how the new PlayStation works, it literally only renders out what you're looking at, and the thing is so fast that as you turn around and look at something, that's when the game renders it out, and it's instant. You don't notice it. By the time you're looking at it, it's there. And that ability for the hardware to shift the game on a dime, think about the possibilities when you take that into a surreal VR game. You're talking about turning around and things changing. We're talking about the ability now for the game to really literally change on a split second. And I think that's something that holds a great deal of potential, especially when you're talking about a game like this.
yeah, absolutely. Pretty much any game. We were just playing Seeking Dawn the other day, me and Radio Runt and Scion, and going in between levels and the loading screen, and I literally said, well, wouldn't it be amazing if you could just walk through this thing and it'd be instantly there? And I don't think people are taking into consideration what this new PlayStation SSD is going to do for VR specifically. You know, if you can take away load screens completely from scene to scene or whatever, it's going to make it seem more immersive, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the things, you know, that has me so excited about PS5. You know, on paper, sure, the Xbox might have it does have more computational units in it. It's technically more powerful machinery, but what PlayStation has done, the approach that they have taken is to, instead of taking the status quo video game experience and beefing it up, they're introducing new abilities and new features in the hardware to try to provide a generational leap, unlike any that we've seen for a good many years. And I know it's not specifically intended for VR, but the things that they're doing with the PlayStation 5 could potentially have a profound impact on VR games, not only with the ability to instantly render and get rid of load screens, like we just talked about, but their Tempest audio, their 3D audio advancements, that they're making, again, seem like something that's just custom made for VR. And, the more I read about this machine, the more excited I get with the possibilities for a game like Resident Evil 8 or any of the other sequels that we've talked about that we're looking forward to next generation.
Yeah, it's going to be a good year with everything coming up.
Yeah, it should be a good few years.
Yeah,
hopefully. Apparently, this game was originally intended not to be Resident Evil 8, but to be the third entry in Resident Evil spin-off series, Resident Evil Revelations. But following positive feedback from Capcom's testing department, it was decided that the game would be transitioned into a mainline installment. So basically, this was intended to be a spin-off Roots, but the playtesters loved it so much that they're now going to make it a mainline entry into the Resident Evil series. And that, again, something to be excited about, right?
yeah, absolutely. Wish I was here now.
Yeah, I know, right? Resident Evil 8 would mark the third consecutive annual release for the series, following this month's Resident Evil 3 and last year's Resident Evil 2. The video game news website Gamatsu also heard from a source familiar with the ongoings at Capcom about the development of a first-person Resident Evil 8 due out in 2021, as well as that Resident Evil 8 will feature PlayStation VR support like its predecessor. So here we are, Roots. When they announced the first-person perspective, there was a lot of speculation and hope that it might once again support VR. Here we have the first credible leak that in fact is the case, and that this game isn't just going to be another flat entry, but in fact be another Resident Evil VR game.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? I've actually heard a lot of people like saying it's not coming to VR, which to me is, or at least theorizing, and I just don't think that makes any sense, because they've already got the knowledge from 7 did so well, and I can't imagine it be that hard to bring it over, just like 7, right? It's the same. Well, maybe it's not the same engine. I don't know.
No, it's probably this is being developed for next gen consoles. I imagine it's probably on a new engine. But with that said, Resident Evil 7, I think, is it's either the fourth or fifth highest selling Capcom game ever. I mean, it's a very high selling game, Resident Evil 7. And with that said, 17% of the player base for Resident Evil 7 was PSVR.
Wow.
So I got to imagine when you consider that, and you consider all of the location-based Resident Evil VR games that they've come out with. I mean, they've made, I think, 3 Resident Evil 7 VR games now for arcades in Japan. Obviously, it's a technology that they're committed to. It's a technology that they appreciate. And I got to imagine if that many people played it on 7, that they're going to return to it, especially the way that VR has been growing over the last year. I can't imagine that they're going to bail out on it now.
Do you think there was people when it first was being talked about coming out for VR on PlayStation saying it wouldn't be worth their time, that there wouldn't be that many people buying it? Because I've heard the same argument from you on the PC, and if it came out for PC VR, I think people would jump all over it, and we might be talking about how many copies it sold on PC VR, but they won't bring it out to PC VR. I just feel like I keep saying it, but I just feel like they're missing out on a completely different group of people that I think it would do really well, but I don't know.
I think that a large number of the PCVR headsets would play it. I also think that a large number of the PCVR headsets probably already bought it. And again, I mean, we're talking about millions and millions of copies of the game that have sold. I mean, Steam just hit an all-time high this past month of PCVR users at 1.5 million. There's not a lot of PCVR headsets out there. When you look at the scale of Capcom and the scale of games that they sell on console, I mean, I can't imagine if there was really that significant of amount of money on the table for them. I can't imagine why they wouldn't go and pick it up.
I mean, it could be a really long contract, exclusivity for Sony that we just aren't aware of. I just feel like that at some point, somebody like you and me was talking about PlayStation and why it wouldn't come to PlayStation VR, and that not enough people would pick it up. And I think they were wrong. And I think we could be wrong if we're saying that it's never going to come to PC. And I'm not saying it's going to. I just think there's so many people out there that are just like, it's never coming. I mean, they are so dead set that they would probably bet good money on it. And I just don't think it's that cut and dry. Just from the standpoint of we don't know the exclusivity window. We all assumed it was what it was. We said it was a year, or we said this is what it is. And it came and passed. And so everybody said, oh, well, I guess it's never coming. And I don't write things off that easily. I just don't think that, I don't know, maybe I just want to convince myself it's coming to PC. I want Jack to chase me with my Oculus Rift S. So
well, I can agree with you there. I definitely would love to see it come to PC. I think that exclusivity window of 1 year was something that was picked up from maybe the box art, or maybe even an advertisement. It was based on some kind of something that somebody read. But you're right, there could be agreements that we're not privy to. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I would just say it's
improbable,
unlikely at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
But hopefully we're wrong. I'd love it. I'd love it if it were to show up tomorrow. I'd buy the game all over again. Honestly, I would.
Yeah, me too.
Just so I could experience it on my beefy hardware. But with that said, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm not as bummed out about it now as I used to be, because I know that I'm going to be able to play it on PlayStation 5, and that's going to give me the experience that I've wanted to have with it all along.
But I will submit, if we get it on PlayStation, well, it is going to be on PlayStation 5 backward compatible, but there's no guarantee that when you go to play it, at least not for a year or whatever, you'll be able to play it with a better headset. Whereas if it came to PC VR now, you could play it with amazing hardware and on a better headset with a better screen, and it just would look better than PS5 with the current headset out there. So
That's true. And again, I would love for it to happen.
yeah, me too. I'm just going to keep talking about it till it happens.
Well, if that works, then we're going to marathon it.
Yeah.
12 hours straight. Resident Evil 7 PCVR special. You saw it here first, friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming down to the bottom of the list, Roots. I just wanted to very quickly talk a little bit about Freediver. This was one of our favorite releases this past year. A very unique game which told a very unique story, and I think that you felt the same way as I did about it. At the end of it, you wanted more, not only more of the gameplay, but you wanted more of that story. I mean, there was so many questions about the origins and about where it was going that we felt like it could have been way more fleshed out than what it actually was. Well, if you agree with that and you would like to know more about that story, they have continued to tell this tale in a podcast series called Freediver: The Triton Incident. Basically, they've been releasing short stories to go along with the game. They've had 3 installments now. The third one just released this past week. It's the final installment of this story that they've been telling. And the Triton incident follows a new character called Sophia as she seeks to unearth the events of an seeks to unearth the events of the original game in the hopes of discovering the fate of a crew member. The series in total is about an hour long, and it answers some of the major questions left by the original game. So here we have it, Roots. You said it when we talked about the extended cut not that long ago, that you felt like that the storytelling was a bit lacking, that you wanted more detail, you wanted more story. Well, here it is.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to listen to it. At first I heard of this, I thought they were adding more to the game, and I was like, oh, wow. And then I was like, oh, this is the podcast. I think it's cool that they're actually taking the time to add to the story. It sounds like they kind of listened to some people, because I'm sure we weren't the only people that were saying, I kind of want to know a little bit more about what's going on. So I think it's really cool, and it just shows you how good the devs are. Obviously they had more to the story in there. Maybe weren't able to fit it in, or didn't fit in the whole scheme of what they were doing. But now they're able to tell the rest of the story. So that's cool.
Well, I gotta feel like if they're going through all of this to tell this story, I mean, they've got to be laying the foundation for something, right? This can't just be the prologue or the epilogue to this 1 hour, one-off game. We said it in our coverage of this game. We'd like to see a larger game in this universe, not something necessarily like this one that was all swimming, but instead a larger action game that has swimming in it, maybe has some FPS elements as well, an action adventure game that continues the story of Freediver Triton Down. And for a video game company to basically do an audiobook to tell the story, continue the story of this short installment, I mean, it's got to be leading to something, right?
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, considering what they've done with this podcast is pretty much as long as the game, right? So they've got to be setting it up for something. You don't do that for no reason. And it's good because we want to see more, That's good.
Absolutely. We said it on our review, and I've said it personally to our friends there at Archaeac that we want more of this, and I'm sure we aren't the only ones that are saying it. I have a quote here. It says, "When it comes to Freediver, we very much view it as a living, breathing franchise that goes far beyond a sinking ship. There's still so much more of it to share. It's important for us to flex our new storytelling muscles to expand the world and characters we've created here, and to push the franchise even further." Roots, when you hear him using words like franchise, I mean, that's it goes back to what we were just saying, right? We were talking about a 1 hour VR experience. What kind of franchise would that be, right?
No, that's not a franchise. That's a flash in the pan. But no, that's definitely sounds like they've got more coming, for sure.
Yeah. I got to think so, and obviously they're not going to let that cat out of the bag quite yet. But this is cool. I think this is something that's unique to VR gaming. The name of the game with VR gaming is immersion, and VR gaming seeks to engage the player on multiple fronts to draw them into the game. Whereas flat gaming, it's 95% about the graphics. The other 5% is about the sound. Those are the only tools they have to pull a player into the game. With VR, these developers take the approach of throwing everything at the player. So not only do you have these immersive 3D visuals and 3D audio, generally the control scheme and the way you interact with the game is designed to pull you in. And now we're seeing these developers go so far as to storytelling to pull the player again into the game. And it's not just Archaeact here. We see Skydance doing the exact same thing with The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, telling their story through a series of podcasts as well. This just goes to show the mentality of a great VR game developer. They're willing to do anything that it takes to engage the player on another level. And I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, well, it's definitely immersive as well. And I think it's exciting. So.
Yeah, I do too. Hopefully we'll hear more about Archaeact's plans for their, quote, franchise in the not so distant future. All right, Roots, we're winding down here. Now we have come to the part of the show that we like to call Reminders, where we remind everyone, first of all, we've talked about some cool stuff here today, some cool games, lots of new stuff coming out. You know, when we did the April preview with only 2 weeks left in April, who knew, Roots, that we had so much more to look forward to?
Yeah, I didn't, for sure. As a matter of fact, it seems like just in the last couple days, all sorts of stuff's popped up all over the place. And what's going to come next week? You know, what are we going to find out? It's coming out April 30th, you know, or some, who knows, man? There's anything's possible.
You know what's coming out April 30th, Roots?
What?
Folia, Dear
Oh, that's right.
Father.
Oh, God, that's your baby, man. You're going to be playing that.
Yep.
All of May.
I wish listed it on the program last week. And right now I'm going to ask all of you that are watching, if you saw a game on our episode today that you think's cool, something that you want to play, let's all go together right now and wish list it. I'm going to go in because there was a couple actually on today's episode that I'm quite interested in. Who doesn't want to play Pixel Rip 1995, Roots?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to wish list that, and I'm going to hope that I get it very, very, very soon.
There we go. I'm going into my Oculus as we speak. And you guys that are watching, you all know you have your Steam open right now. Just look. It's right down there in your tray. This is such an easy thing to do, and the easiest way for you and I to support these developers that work so hard to bring us these games. So add the wish list. There we go. I'm also going to add Spellpunk. So I'm going to go into, actually, I'm going to go into Viveport and wish list
Spellpunk it. Spellpunk it up.
Because I've never wish listed anything on Viveport. So I bet it's, you know, I said that I saw that game somewhere. I couldn't put my finger on where I saw it. I bet Viveport's where I saw it.
Yeah, I want to wish list Half-Life Wolfenstein. I don't think it's on the wish list. So I am gonna
add to wish list.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Spellpunk is now on my wish list. Pixel Rip 1995 is now on my wish list. So yeah, so many other games on here. The Witching Tower Heroes coming out in just a couple of weeks. Agent of Chernobyl that we're giving away. What do we have? 4 keys to give away,
Yep,
Roots?
4, yep.
Yeah. So you guys can definitely go on and wish list that right now. And again, for those of you who would like to win a copy of that, all you got to do is subscribe and leave a comment down below saying that you'd like to enter. And in a week's time, we're going to be giving out 4 copies of Agent of Chernobyl. All right, and now we're going to move on to the free stuff reminders, and I've changed it from just being free stuff to now free stuff and killer deals, because we've seen some really killer deals this week, and I'd feel like a asshole if I didn't share them with our community. But first of all, let's talk about the free stuff. Once again, I'd like to remind all of you out there who are subscribed to PlayStation Plus that this month's titles are Dirt Rally 2.0 and Uncharted 4, both phenomenal titles. Be sure to pick them up while you still can. With that being said, the world at large has introduced this new initiative over the last couple weeks called Play at Home. As we know, the powers that be want people to stay home, and the video game industry is supporting that by giving away free games. So while you're quarantined in your home, you at least have something to do to pass the time. PlayStation, first of all, and you don't, by the way, have to be a PS Plus member to get these games. These are free for everyone who has a PlayStation. The Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. So that's Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. All for free right now to keep. All you got to do is go claim it. And in addition to that, they're also giving away Journey, which is a fairly popular platform adventure.
Wow, that's a pretty good deal, huh? How long is that for?
These are good April 15th through May the 5th.
Okay.
So about another week and a half we have, about 2 more weeks really, to claim these games pretty much for the rest of the month. Free to everyone, PS Plus or not. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Ubisoft getting in on the Play at Home initiative as well, giving away Might and Magic Chess Royale, Rabbids Coding, and get this, Roots, Assassin's Creed 2.
Wow.
Absolutely free on Uplay right now.
Wow. You just have to download the Uplay, which I already have, for Star Trek Bridge Crew. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of free. So why not?
Free's awesome. And I mean, that's a couple $100 worth of games we've already read off for this Play at Home initiative.
Yeah, what people don't realize too is like all you have to do is click on it. You don't even have to download it, and maybe a year from now you'll want to play it. Why not just do it? It's easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's free, dude.
It's free.
All you gotta do is click.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You got money all of a sudden now? You rich, huh?
Yeah,
you rich guy?
too good for it.
You too rich to take the free games? I take the free games. Hell, these are flat games. I'm never going to play these games. You know what?
Your kids
I've
might.
claimed all of them.
Your kids
I've
might.
claimed all of them.
Yeah. Well, you never know, man. You might be stuck and that's all you have to play,
Yeah, my headsets might all spontaneously fry at the same time. And
let's not even put that out there.
yeah, I know, right?
Horrible.
We already learned that our words have power.
That's right. We've already got RE7 coming to PC now because of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome, people.
Yeah.
PSVR, Jarillo.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Jarillo.
Yeah. No more Vorpex. You don't have to slum it with Vorpex anymore on RE7.
Jarillo says Vorpex is better, bro.
Oh, that's right. Well,
it's better because he can use mouse and keyboard instead of a gamepad.
I don't even know what to say about that because the last thing I want to do is use a keyboard when I have my headset on. That's just very confusing.
To each their own, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jarillo's Team PC for life, son.
Yeah, he ain't messing around, dude. He ain't using no crappy ass gamepad.
That's for those lowly console people.
Yeah.
Them and their meager 30 FPS. What are they thinking?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I played Destiny 2 on the PS4 with my friend. Then I bought it for PC and played it for like a week. And then I tried to go back to PS4 again and I couldn't do it because it it was noticeably different. And it was just because of that specific game and that specific going from one to the other. It was weird. It's the first time and only time I've ever felt that before. And it's because it's it's fast paced, you know. So.
Yeah. Well, it should feel different. I mean, most of these gaming computers, at the very least, cost twice as much as the console. At the very least, and that's for a meager setup, you know.
Yeah. True.
So, anyway, back to the free shit for the Play at Home initiative. Microsoft Store getting in on it as well, Roots. Did you know that? Life is Strange. Do you remember Life is Strange?
I do not. It is strange.
It's a story-driven coming-of-age tale. I want to say it's PS3 era. It might be early PS4 era. Fairly popular game. I bet you'd recognize it if you saw it.
Okay.
Life is Strange is free right now on the Microsoft Store. I even went on there and claimed that, Roots.
Wow. I was hoping you were going to say Sea of Thieves was free and then I could get like Scion or somebody, even though he's already told me he won't do it unless it's in VR. But I need a crew of Sea of Thieves people. And no one wants to do it because it's a flat game. So
Sion's a lifer like I am.
Yeah.
We don't need. I just can't do it, man. And I was, the developer of Separation was on Twitter saying just this same thing yesterday. You can't once you go VR, you can't go back to flat. I can't.
See, my thing is,
he can't either.
There's the content that I get in a game like Sea of Thieves doesn't exist in VR. So if I could play it in VR, obviously it'd be a no-brainer. And then there's the thought that sometimes I just don't want it on my face and I want to just chill and lean back. And that's why I get so weirded out about people wanting to do keyboard and mouse. Cause you're hunched over, man. Like I used to do that for World of Warcraft for 10 years. I want to lean back and sit back with my controller and just chill. So I see that part of it. Granted, you're not going to get the same experience as VR, but when you can only play that game flat, I'll play it if it's a good enough game. If it's a game I really enjoy, I just feel like the content isn't quite there for VR comparative to flat gaming, with the exception of a few games, Alex and so forth. So.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. The scope of the games are definitely much more developed on the flat side of it. But, I mean, it can be the best concept for a game, the most well thought out, detailed, expansive game ever on flat. But the fact of the matter is once you've been in a game where you can look around, I can't go back to sticking to look through a window. You know what I mean? It's just, I can't.
So
you're
a VR elitist.
I am a VR elitist.
Yeah, it's not something to be ashamed of. That's a good thing.
I just can't. I'm just being honest, man. I just can't.
Yeah, that's good. It's
it.
good because everybody's different, and I felt like that way for a while until I feel like my son opened my eyes up. This is 2018, late 2018, maybe early 2019, or maybe it was middle of 2018, and I was showing him VR and stuff, and he was impressed. But he said, "Dad," he said, "the games are shallow." And it offended me for a little bit until I started to think about it. And once now that we've gotten deep games that you could really dig into, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier off air about the Quest, the Quest, or maybe that was with Scion and them. I don't know. But anyway, the Quest is really good, but they're where we were a year and a half ago, where the majority of the games are kind of like those tech demos. I mean, they're not tech demos, but they're, a lot of people coming into VR and getting the Quest, they get in, they love the games, and then you see the same thing on Reddit. They're like, well, these games, where are the long games? Where are the detailed games? With all of those reasons that draw you in, all those hooks, all those things that you unlock, and just all the stuff that AAA games have. And that's what keeps me going to flat gaming. When you have all of that always in VR, I agree with you. I could never go back. But until then, I think there's still a place, at least in my heart, for some of these games that I can't experience. I would crap myself to play Sea of Thieves in VR. Legit, port me in there, and I would say I would never play this flat. That's stupid. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, though.
Yeah, it's just one of those once you go, you can't go back things for me. Like I don't know. I personally would rather play a tech demo that lets me aim down sights and peek around corners than play a game, a fully fleshed out game that I have to stick aim and reticle and, you know, all that jazz.
Yeah, I hear you.
Epic Game Store this week, Roots, Just Cause 4.
That's good.
As well as Wheels of Aurelia. So, yeah, awesome, right?
Yeah, well, I know what I'm doing after this episode. Well, actually, I'll probably go to sleep and then go to work and then come home and and then do it, being that it's early in the morning. But yeah, I've wanted to play through Just Cause 4 and just would never buy it now. But hell, if it's free, I might even just jump in there for a little bit just to check it out, right?
Well, here's the deal with the Epic Game Store stuff. It's weekly. It doesn't last forever, so you might want to jump on it before you go to bed so you don't forget.
Oh, so but do you mean it's weekly and then you can't you get to have it forever though, right? Or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
you claim it, you can have it forever, but the games change weekly.
I gotcha.
So if you wait too long, it's going to be a different game.
I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what day it was either that the games switch over.
Oh God, now you're freaking me out.
Yeah, you should be freaked out, bro.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll at least last until Sunday morning, or else we're telling people it's free and it's not free anymore.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, to my credit, I did mention it last week that Just Cause 4 would be during the next cycle.
That's true. Well, you guys should have listened,
so.
and Roots should have listened, because they didn't.
Grip Combat Racing. We just talked about how it might be one of the best VR games that we've ever seen. $2.20, Roots, on instant-gaming.com. This is how I bought into this game. It's $30 retail price, $2.
Yeah, it's $2, and it's the best, hands down, the best racing game I've played in VR. Probably one of the best I've played, period. And it's definitely the best, for me, the best combat racing I've ever done. And the amount of flipping and if you're like some people that get sick in VR, there is a third-person view, and there are ways to do it that you don't have to be in the cockpit. Like even Mamefan said at one point he was like on top of the hood. But so there's so many different views, but man, I recommend being inside, because the way that thing flips you around, and there's just so many different unique things going on in that game. And the developers really nailed that game when they made it. And the fact that they brought it into VR is amazing.
And they're still working on updates for it too. I read just yesterday that they're working on more content for it.
Yeah, they're excited. They're really excited about the fact that VR people are jumping on and loving it so much. I think they really were wanting to bring this to VR from the beginning. At least I think so, but I don't know that they said that. But it seems like they were driven to get it into VR. So.
That's the beautiful thing about what Valve did with bringing Half-Life into VR only, and showing not only that you could make a AAA VR game, but that you could make money selling a VR game. It's so huge, because just like these guys that develop Grip, these game developers, they want to put their franchises in VR. They know how immersive it is and how much more awesome it is to be inside the game. But there's been a stigma historically around it. You can't make money. It's too difficult to do a detailed long game in VR. Valve has broken that mold and proven those ideas wrong. So it makes the next few years a very exciting time for VR gaming.
You know what's ironic is Valve paved the way for Grip to come into VR. They showed them, and I don't know if they specifically that did it, but in a sense they did pave the way, and they showed them, hey, it's a viable thing to do. And I believe Grip has shown Valve that Portal 2 is viable, because people said, oh, you can't do Portal, man. There's too much flinging you around or whatever. I'll tell you what, dude, in Grip, you are spinning and flipping and like so much, you don't even know where the hell your car is going half the time, because it's hitting a jump and spinning and bouncing off the walls. And there's so much of that going on, and none of us are getting sick in it. And we're not the only ones. And I think Valve will have to see that you can make Portal 2 in VR. I guarantee it.
All right. Well, here we go with our magic words again. Portal 2 coming to
Coming
VR.
to VR.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Crow Team Bundle, Roots, all 4 Serious Sam games, as well as the Talos Principle, including Road to Gehenna. $16 on Steam right now.
Yeah, we just talked about that, right? With Mamefan on our Monday show, or not Monday show, the other show special for the year. And that, if you do the math, if you were to buy each one of those games individually, just the Serious Sams for $6, which usually they'll be on sale individually for $6 a piece, that's $24, and you're getting the other 2 games, or I guess, is it 1 game or 2 games on top of it, and you're getting it for 16. Yeah, 1. So
yeah, it's 5 total games for $16. You're paying like $3 a game for what, Serious Sam, as fun as it is, the Talos Principle is widely regarded as one of the best puzzle games in VR. So just an awesome deal. I bought that bundle a long time ago for a similar price, just because it's such a good deal.
yeah.
I wasn't particularly burning to play any of those games, but you put a deal like that in front of me, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to buy it, right?
Yeah, we need to get into some Serious Sam 1 and 2 multiplayer, because I haven't been into those ones, and Mamefan says those are the best ones. I think he said 2 was the best. So
you can co-op it, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say you could co-op it?
Yeah, and dude, it's so much chaos, and the weapons are so cool, and looking down at your arm and seeing this huge gun, it's just so cool.
Yeah, it definitely one of the most intense experiences I've had in VR. Definitely the energy levels ratcheted up when you're in that thing.
Yeah.
Viveport Infinity, we mentioned it earlier in the episode. Currently on sale until today, April 19th. So hopefully it's still available at the time that you're seeing this. I don't know if that means that April 19th is the last day, or if April 19th marks the end of the sale and yesterday was the last day. But it's worth checking out, because you can get a year of Viveport Infinity for $27. That's $2.25 per month for the Netflix of VR games.
And isn't it like $15 a month normally? Or at least for me, because I didn't get grandfathered in.
It was $9 for me. I think you said you paid like $12
or $12.95 or something. But yeah, man, that's like 2 months worth for a full year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty much giving it away.
Yeah.
So especially if you're new to VR and you don't have a lot of games to play on your headset, I think there's something like 800 plus titles in the Infinity Library that you have unlimited access to after you subscribe. So it's a definite recommend for me at that price. I think anybody should, if you have the dough, if you've got the cheese, if you've got the bread, the scratch, brother, throw it down. Get yourself some VR.
I'm holding out for my my Vive port. Vive's got to send me a member. If we do this bit every week and I want something for it, give it to me.
Yeah, I think we definitely provide value.
Yeah.
For the people there at Viveport. But then again, the other part of me thinks that as much as we've shit on the Cosmos, that
Yeah.
we probably still owe them a little bit.
Yeah. Well, at least we did concede that Cosmos Elite works well. So
It certainly does. The one that has the Valve trackers and the Valve faceplate
and using the Valve controllers.
the Valve
'Cause I don't-
controllers and the Valve.
I don't want those big
base
old
stations.
flashlights or whatever those things are.
But it's the Valve 1.0, like not the new Valve that you get with the Valve headset. It's the Valve 1.0 base stations.
Okay. So you can only use the wands, right? Or no?
You can use the twos, but they just don't come with it.
Okay.
They come with the ones.
I gotcha.
The twos are for like actual Valve.
Headsets. But I think
Like,
the only
you-
difference is the coverage, right? Like you can use a bigger area or something. I don't know. I didn't read it. I guess you watch MRTV. He probably knows all the stuff on the hardware.
He does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. All right, so that's going to wrap up free stuff and killer deals and bring us to our final reminder of the day, and that is how you can support our channel. And the easiest way for you to support our channel is by clicking on that red subscribe button and clicking on that bell right beside of it so that you can stay up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. Now, for those of you who have been subscribed for a while, if you would like to continue to help our channel grow, we have just started our Patreon just this last week. Or was it? Yeah, it was last week, right? A week ago today?
Yeah, I think, because that was the first one, the first two, Radio Runt and Harry.
Now we've got two more, and I'd like to go ahead and thank Mamefan as well as Double G 303 for joining our Patreon, bringing us up to 4 patrons now in the first week. Hey, dude, that's 4 more than I expected, right?
Yeah, and it's awesome too because we now have reason to make content, extra content. You know, we're recording the pre-show, and we're actually you're gonna get to listen to some of that stuff, and yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, if you decide that you would like to support our channel by supporting us on Patreon, what you will gain access to at this time, and again, we're going to add more stuff later. We're going to actually differentiate the tiers at some point. But as for right now, anyone who donates anything on the Patreon gets access to additional bonus content, which comes in the form of our pre-show that we always record before we actually start recording the show, and as well as access to my show notes that I write up for every episode that we do. You're going to start getting those early, so you're going to actually know what we're talking about on the show before we actually post the show. So actually, as soon as I get done recording this, I'm going to go onto the Patreon and I'm going to upload these show notes. So people are going to know like a full day and a half ahead of time what we talked about just now on the video. And they're going to read about Pixel Ripped. A lot of these people don't know that the Witching Tower has a sequel. They're going to read about that in here. They're going to read about the giveaway. Again, I guess while we're doing reminders, I should remind you all about the giveaway. If you'd like to win a copy of Agent of Chernobyl, subscribe and be sure to leave a comment down below that you want to enter the giveaway for Agent of Chernobyl. All right, so I think that checks off all the boxes there. Again, big thank you to Mamefan and Double G 303 for joining the legions and legions of patrons on our Patreon. And a big thanks to everyone who's joined our community lately. I mean, the Discord, it just keeps growing, doesn't it, Rich?
Yeah, it's surprising to me. And it's one of the best things that, you know, back in the day, we remember we had to twist Anthony's arm to start his Discord, and that opened my eyes to just getting everybody together and having everybody like you know, like every day people are posting sales, all the stuff we're talking about here, driven by, been posting all sorts of different stuff lately, different deals you can get, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Any like our Discord isn't only just a wonderful community where a lot of good VR conversation is going on, but it's also a tremendous resource in any number of ways. Again, like Ruuts was mentioning, deals get posted on there frequently. News, you know, we cover a small fraction of the news. We generally stay pretty tightly focused on the games on our program here, but you know, all sorts of news gets reported on our Discord, hardware based, anything, you know, any kind of VR news whatsoever, you're going to find it on there. And if you're a new player, if you're new to VR and you're having some kind of an issue, or you need some kind of tips on how to perfect your setup or what games to buy, again, an endless resource. Any number of people in our Discord really would love to who just love to help people, right, when it comes to VR.
Yeah, everybody in there is like-minded. They're all super VR fans, and it is the best community out there. So
yeah, 100%. And that's not just a saying, that's just a fact of life.
that's right.
Anyway, with that said, friends, we would like to thank you, as always, for watching. And for Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.